I'm Tim Byrd, and I am the president of Byrd Technology Group.
My name is Stephen Byrd, and I work at Byrd Technology Group, and we're located in Bedford, New Hampshire. We do product design, industrial design, we do plastics, metal, we also do FEA testing and photo renders.
Been in business for whatever it's been, 14 years, 1996. I bought 98 Solidworks from Dana Cero. And I don't even remember, maybe Dana remembers how I met him, but somehow I met him. And he called me where I was working at my company, Modicon, and said, I'll come by and bring you this new software. And I said, yeah, I heard about it, and it's supposed to be not quite as good as Pro E. And oh yeah, it's good, it's as good. And I immediately saw some of the problems between SolidWorks and Pro E. And said, so I kept both for another 3 years, I think, and then it was very clear. Within 3 years, SolidWorks had way outdistanced, well, not so much outdistanced, but it had come even with Pro E in terms of functionality and ease of use. Well, it was actually easier to use. And within another 2 years, Pro E was now trying to catch up to SolidWorks. That's how fast it worked.
You know, SolidWorks is, generally speaking, extremely easy to use, which is what's great about it. It's very intuitive, so and the interface is very intuitive. But on top of that, the rendering capabilities of SolidWorks, even just within the photo view program, is pretty fantastic. So, you know, there's a lot you can do early on. If you take that, you know, what we do is we take SolidWorks photo view and then, you know, add to that and add, you know, Modo. And that's one thing, again, that SolidWorks is great with, is the compatibility with a lot of other stuff. But there's direct compatibility with Modo, and so we'll, you know, we can bring models with materials and everything right into Modo, and everything's still there, still right exactly how it was, and then we can go from there and set up, you know, environments, lights, whatever, in, you know, and do, you know, work a little bit more on the materials to make them more specific. You know, photo view gives you that initial ability, and then you can kind of take it to the next level. So that compatibility is fantastic, and I think SolidWorks is actually known for that. We do a variety of things, so, you know, maybe a big contract manufacturer might come to us to develop a specific part of a product, but also we do individual products. So one of the big things is, say, people that have an invention they're working on, and then we kind of take that from A to Z.
Anyone that has been in the structural analysis, vibration especially, probably recognizes the name of Dave Steinberg. Dave Steinberg is an analytical engineer who wrote books on vibration analysis. I actually studied under Dave Steinberg and took a number of seminars with him, and have all of his books and apply his knowledge to military vibrations analysis and structural. In fact, just finished a large 58,000 pound transformer analysis, seismic analysis, and for vibration under, you know, earthquake conditions, and well, again, the simulation software is really great for that, because not only does it do a good job of modal analysis to give me my natural frequencies, but also then applying the static analysis under, you know, once I have the transmissibility coefficients added to their specifications, the IEEE specifications for seismic. It's not just the fact that it does a good job of it, it's the post-processing. It's how you can create cutaways and show what's happening internally, because this is a big structure with oil tanks inside and transformers and lots of equipment, and you can imagine 58,000 pounds under, you know, an earthquake condition, what happens to the structures. And you can actually go in and look at, give me everything above the yield, you know, so say the yield is 36,000 KSI or something, you can say anything above 36 KSI, light that up, and then it'll actually give you a view of those specific areas, rather than just a big color plot that most customers aren't going to understand anyway. They're going to say, oh, well, is it good or is it bad, you know, that kind of thing. So that's the nice thing about SolidWorks simulation. It gives you areas that you can look at, or tools that allows you to look at areas that are specific to what the customer is looking for, you know, the maximum stress or fatigue and that type of thing. So that's a great advantage to using SolidWorks simulation. Now our thermal capabilities also are, you know, we can do real-time animation so that people not just see a solid static image. We can take that image, we can take a cutaway of any system and just move it back and forth, and you can see the flow, the airflow patterns and the temperatures and the pressures and all that. But we can also do real-time animation, so you can see how the air is flowing through and changing color as it moves for temperature, pressure, or velocity throughout a system. So those two packages give us incredible capability to not just design products, but design products that are going to work, and we can prove that they'll work. We're not just saying, hey, we use good design principles. We do, but we prove it. We prove it with our structural analysis, our FEA, and our CFD, and that stuff doesn't lie. I mean, it's not going to tell you, as long as you set it up right. And that's the thing, when you've got an engineer setting up your boundary conditions, you know that it's going to be good. You don't just have anybody just go in there and say, yeah, I'm an analyst. You've got to have the background. You've got to know how the boundary conditions are set up, and you've got to know what's accurate, what isn't, what's, you know, just wishful guessing, and what's an accurate way of setting up a model. And that's what we offer. You know, and then when we're all done and we give you an analysis that shows that your product's going to work, and we design it, and we can build it. Soup to nuts.
You know, originally when we got the Stratasys printers, it was, the first one, it was more of something that we could offer to our clients, as well as a testing capability for us. So we could, you know, take the, make the parts in SolidWorks and then actually see how they were going to go together and make sure that our design was good, and that everything was going to be seamless. So we did a little bit for us, but also for a lot of our, you know, clients wanted that capability. Over time, it grew into, you know, a more lucrative part of the company. But originally, it was really just for, you know, to have that capability. But there's a lot of people that, you know, really love having the ability to get their, you know, products printed and have a prototype in their hands. So it's grown pretty quickly, and once people use it, I mean, they always, every time they do something, they want to print it, just because, you know, once they see how real it actually is, and that it's so quick and it's really not that expensive at all, especially in comparison to actually, you know, injection molding of parts, and I mean, a fraction of the cost. So you know, they just see the value there. It's kind of like the renders, like after people do it once, it's like they keep doing it because they really see that value. But it's just initially helping, you know, the customer understand, you know, what that value is to them, you know, and how, you know, how it's going to help them long term. Because I think initially it's like, well, I don't need a prototype, I can just build it. But to get something for, you know, a fraction of the price really quickly, that you can, you know, that you can test with, that you can use. Sometimes actually the other thing about the Dimension printer is that if you're doing low volume printing or low volume parts, sometimes you can actually just use it. I mean, it's not just a prototype machine. You know, there's people that have, you know, say, you know, a medical cart we were working on, and they're only making like 9 of them, you know, because they're really expensive and they only need 9 of them. So for some of the parts on there that are really unique, instead of making a mold and, you know, paying thousands of dollars a lot of the times, they can, you know, just print 9 of them on the machine, and it's, you know, again, way less, and the parts are great. I mean, if you can change the way that it's built if you want it to be more fine or more or like a more solid piece, you know. But if it's a solid piece, it is solid. I mean, you know, you can actually use it for a lot of different uses. So there's a lot of different uses for the printer, but we've been really happy with it over the years. So.
CAP is good in terms of staying up to date with the software, which is, you know, for training and things like that, has been excellent. They've always got some great people like Keith and Jason, and, you know, people over the years have always known all the key points of SolidWorks. In fact, I called Keith up, or wrote to him, I think it was, and said, hey, I want to improve my speed. And one of the ways is to cut down on, the amount of time that I use for any number of commands. So what can I do? Give me a list of tips and tricks that I should be looking at. So he actually called me. He said, "Hey Tim, this is Keith," and he said, "I'll tell you what," he goes, "this is what you do to increase your speed. You wait for the next release." He goes, "You're not going to believe it." And sure enough, I mean, that release where you can actually click on the the commands right at the wherever your mouse is. I don't know what they call that, but you could just right click or something, and all of the icons are right there instead of having to go back and forth, and that saves you a ton of seconds. But you add them up over a day, and then a day over a week, and because we put in 12-hour days, and a lot of times it's the full week, 7 days a week, and every second that you improve, you're doing that work that much faster, and that's the name of the game here. It's your time is what you get paid for. So that's kind of an example of how responsive they've been and how good they are at keeping up to date with the software. Dave Tupper, priceless. Dave Tupper is, he has got to be, I think, one of the best service technicians I've ever met in any area. I mean, he is not only knowledgeable, and helpful. When he comes over, he gives you all kinds of ideas, but he's so responsive. I mean, I send an email out, and I got an email back in minutes, and that is priceless. You can't even estimate how much that's worth, especially when you're doing work for other customers. When you've got somebody that says, "Hey, can I have this tomorrow?" and you go and start the machine and something happens, and you've got to, you need help with it. In fact, Dave put new software on my machine, and the machine came up, and I had to reload the reel. All of a sudden, I couldn't figure out, how do I load the reel again? It was like the commands were different, and I didn't want to screw it up, and that kind of thing. So I immediately, I don't know if I called him or emailed him, but immediately he called me back. Okay, go over to the machine, hit this button, hit that button, and he just walked me through it, and I was like, okay, that's all I needed. Now I can do it from now on, So that was really helpful. So that's a great plus for CAP. And in fact, CAP has always had great people, so that's another plus that I am very impressed with.